Okay, I now call the East Lyme Aquifer Protection Agency regular meeting of July 9th, 2026 to order at 6:30 p.m. Do you want to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, even though it's not on here? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't know that. Just roll call. Mr. Peck.
Yep.
Ms. Markovitz.
Yes.
Welcome back. Ms. Uhas.
Here.
Ms. Kalal.
Here.
Ms. Jet Harris.
Here.
Mr. Liska. No. Ms. Sesko is not coming tonight. We do have Ms. Edwards here. Thank you. We have Mr. Mulholland here. Is our ex officio anywhere to be seen? No. And we're so happy to see Miss LaRocco and her daughter here tonight. Thank you so much for coming.
Wow.
It's good to see you. We may not let you go. So we don't have any renewals for Mr. Mulholland tonight. So basically, the time is for Mrs. Kalal and any other member that's participating in your presentation tonight.
Okay, I'm going to start out with some information that a lot of people might not be aware of, or if they're aware, they might not know where to find it. The Town Aquifer Protection Agency, which is also referred to as the APA, in Connecticut, hold full legal authority under Connecticut State Statute 22A-354A to 22A-354BB. Municipalities must adopt land use regulations to protect public drinking water in all well fields. That's all.
Sorry.
It's all yours.
Okay, my turn. Okay, everybody. First of all,
Can
we
you
are
talk
the
in your mic, Nancy, please?
Oh, I got so much junk here. We are the Aquifer Protection Agency, and our charge is water. And without water, there is no life, which means if there's no water in Niantic, property values in Niantic are zero. Really important when it's time for the tax man to be paid. For those people in TV land, we'll just do a few basics. For example, definition of the word aquifer, which is an underground layer of water-bearing porous stone, earth, or gravel. It's a big deal in East Lyme. East Lyme has the shallowest aquifer in the state of Connecticut. You can actually see the East Lyme aquifer if you go into the Giving Garden on the right-hand side and move the giant cement plate over. You can look down and see the underground river shooting past you. It's really cool. Other terms that you're going to hear tonight, the term buffer. Buffers are huge because they protect the aquifer. It's basically a vegetative area adjacent to water features such as streams, lakes, oceans. The purpose of them is to increase water quality and to decrease pollution. The Estuary magazine has a wonderful article about riparian buffers. If anybody gets Estuary, or you can get it at the Florence Griswold, it's a great article. Another definition we need to talk about is watershed. What is a watershed? And it is an area of land that drains to a common outlet. The terms watershed and water basin and basin are interchangeable. Now, why do we care about all this? Because of the health and welfare of the citizens of East Lyme. Now, as of this morning, there were 19,463 residents in the town of East Lyme, plus or minus a few. So we're just going to ballpark it at 20. There are approximately 3,000 renters. Of those people, the 20,000 people in town, 7,000 are in water customers. In other words, they get their water from the city of New London, which leaves for over 13,000 people having to drink the water from the aquifer. Again, it goes back to the health and safety of the people in London, and East Lyme, and Waterford, Old Lyme, Lyme, Had Lyme, Salem. Everybody is in the aquifer. Now, we very coincidentally just happen to have some lovely maps, which, public, I apologize for them not being big enough.
Are they in our packets?
They're in the packets, yes. There should be a big, there's a big green, a big in-color map. This shows the aquifer systems and the recharge area to the aquifers in the town of East Lyme. Now, if you go on the computer and go to the Connecticut River watershed, you can find a map, sorry it's not in color, of the watershed. You see basically it goes from the Green Mountains to the White Mountains, down to the shore. It encompasses a huge area. Killingly is not marked on the map, but Killingly is in that watershed, as is Westerly. Westerly is in the watershed. Now, Westerly currently has a water ban because they don't have enough water. So we, of the Aquifer Protection Agency, need to be proactive and keep our heads out of the sand and get our aquifer protected and get our recharge areas squared away. Historically, the state made the towns responsible for what they call wellhead protection, so they shrunk the boundaries from this big map to this little map. Huge difference. So what does that do? That means that what water used to be marked as a protected area is no longer. And we've just got this crummy little ring around wells, which isn't doing anything because if you read the water report, they're all polluted.
So who changed it, and why did they change it?
The state decided that they didn't want to be responsible for water, so they dumped it on the towns.
They dumped it on the who?
So our town changed it.
Right.
Okay.
At the same time, Mr. Wayne Frazier made a very lopsided agreement with the City of New London. For 6 months, we used their water, and the other 6 months of the year, we're supposed to replace it with our water. But they don't want our water because it tastes so bad and it is polluted. But we're giving it to all our citizens to drink. Doesn't seem right to me. I think that's wrong. That's downright wrong. And if you read the water report, you know everything's just hunky-dory because they took all the wells and they averaged all the problems with the wells into one concise little report so it looks good. Again, that's wrong, in my humble opinion.
I thought they only combined well number 2 and 3 to get the average, but the rest of them were not contaminated. Well number 5 has never been contaminated, but I think 2 and 3, one of them was contaminated, or is contaminated, and so what they did was, I think because they were so close together, those were the ones that were combined to get the average. Each one of them has to meet a state average, correct, Mr. Mulholland?
I think so. We'd have to go back and refresh, but I think
that's
you're correct.
what I understand from the research I've done. So not all of them are contaminated, and the only 2, to my knowledge, that are combined together is well number 2 and 3.
So, wells number 2 and 3 are north and south of the highway, where all the construction is. Well number 5 is in the 4 Mile River watershed, and that is by far the cleanest well there is, and would behoove us to keep it that way. Water is a big deal on a nationwide basis, so climate is changing. I think we can all agree storms are getting more fierce. We're seeing more episodes of greater water concentration, and then we have periods of drought. We are in a drought situation now. There is, at the University of Nebraska, there is a drought mitigation department, and all they do is keep track of the drought data. Now, Water is a really big deal on the West Coast. If you start with the Rio Grande and go all the way down to the end, there's no water by the time it hits Mexico because there's so many farmers and interstate agreements taking bits and pieces of water. Wells are 650 feet deep to water the cherry trees and the pecans. Big deal pecans. They suck down a lot of water. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about that. But if you look at what's happening in the rest of the world, it's a no-brainer. This is going to happen to us. I give it 15, 20 years, and Niantic is out of water. And then what? We have to be proactive. Now, the town of Killingly is interesting. They have a huge lake. The state said they had to drain it to fix one end of it. Well, their citizens are out of water. You can't go playing with water. You can't go mixing and changing courses of water without significant impact. So I propose many things. First of all, I propose that this agency meet more than twice a year so that we can monitor what we do and see if we're making any benefit at all. Second of all, I would like to return to the original recharge area, which is this map, which covers the biggest part of the town, to save what we can. The POCD, here's the matrix. If anybody wants to read the matrix, it's a whole lot easier than reading the actual document. It's phenomenal. And this POCD has several recommendations, one of which is to enact the scenic and rural road ordinances. Mr. Mulholland, do you know off the top of your head which regulations those are?
I don't, because we don't have any in the zoning side. But the town can adopt scenic road designations. I think planning actually does it through, and the Board of Selectmen. But I would have to chase that down to be exact.
Okay.
But I think there is a statute that allows that.
Yes, and the benefit of that is it means that you can't change the shape of the road, you can't change the road bed, which means there's less area to disturb for filtration. It means you can't cut down vegetation within so many feet of, I think it's 50 feet of the road border or your property line. There's a lot of good things to come out of the scenic and rural road ordinance if we can get that enacted.
Nancy, would you like for me to look up the statute, the Connecticut state statute that gives the authority to do that, and I can
Yes, please.
give it? Okay.
That's a great idea. So we can protect our aquifer by increasing the area that we use to protect it. Basically, this commission moved 2-acre zoning to 5-acre zoning in the north end of town. But it didn't encompass all of the north end of town, and there's still at least 5 or 6 parcels of 100 plus acres that would go a long way towards keeping our water in Niantic clean. The POCD also talks about zone changes. It actually talks about a ton of stuff, but if we can just agree tonight to go forward with renaming the recharge area and reinstituting these boundaries, that would be huge, in my opinion. I think all we need is a vote.
Nancy,
I think we need the state involved somehow.
Well, if
I
you
don't think
read...
we have the authority to do it.
Nancy, can I give you this statute first? Because this, I think, will be very helpful to you, all of us.
Okay.
The statute that you're talking about, I'll read it. It says Connecticut primary law for scenic views and Connecticut general statutes is 7-149A, which empowers municipalities to designate town roads and scenic roads to qualify. A road must be free of intensive commercial development and meet criteria such as offering scenic views, having mature trees, or being unpaved, just to name a few.
There you have it. Good reasons to keep things the way they are.
They also have Vista View rights in the state of Connecticut. Doesn't have any general property right for, to a specific private view. However, Connecticut State Statute 47-42B does allow for conservation and preservation restrictions to legally protect vistas and open space in perpetuity.
Thank you.
We tried to put that in force years ago.
Yes.
The scenic road thing. And as I recall, it had to be approved by the people who live on the streets.
It was all approved. We got it to the zoning commission, and they thought it was a great idea, but Mr. Madison objected to it, and they shut it down. Now, technically speaking, that was illegal. The way it reads, he should have had to petition everybody with the certified mail for them to get them to disagree, and then they should have passed, and then they could have negated it. But they just shut it down.
Well, zoning does have, according to this, does have the legal authority to make a regulation for what you were talking about, Norm and Nancy.
So you don't have to have the approval of the residents.
That's not what it says here. But I'm not an attorney. I can only read it, what it says.
I would feel more comfortable running this by an attorney before we would vote on it myself.
I thought he was supposed to be here tonight.
Not for this.
He's coming for the zoning commission meeting at 7:30
Well, darn.
to talk about housing. But should we need him for this type of discussion, we could set that up in the near future.
Is it possible that maybe we could form a subcommittee and prepare to write a text amendment, and then in the meantime, maybe Mr. Mulholland, you could talk to town attorney to make sure that it's legal?
Yeah, I just
Can we do
want-
that?
Yeah, certainly, up to you and up to the chair, and not up to, certainly not up to
So we
me,
can
but,
vote on that, Nancy.
Just briefly on the scenic road, I believe that's an action, and I need to check and refresh, by the Board of Selectmen as the official group in charge of roads, et cetera, but there's some involvement in planning and zoning as well, but I think ultimately they have to make that decision. But we can chase all those things down, but we certainly need to vet them to make sure legally we are on the right track, and if this board wants to make a recommendation, if it is the Board of Selectmen, then you can write that up, if you collectively think that's something you're going to do.
It says here zoning.
Yeah,
and
but
planning.
But I think the Board of Selectmen, as a legislative authority in the town, might have to. Now, as I said, I need to chase that down. I'm not 100% positive, but we can get clarification.
But we can also vote tonight to form a subcommittee so we can start getting the research and bring it back to the rest of the commission members. And we can get the ball rolling.
It's now, according to our agency regulations, Section 3B, number 1, ABC, any request to the agency to the commissioner for an extension of an aquifer protection area boundary shall include the following: a map to scale, including the area boundary mapped under Section 3A of the APA regs, and a proposed extension of the aquifer area boundary. We already have that. It's all set to go.
But
No, but you wanna inflate the boundary what it used to be, correct?
That's all we want to do, is get it back to the original boundary, and it's all set.
So, Mr. Mulholland, when a boundary is already in place and then it's removed because, it was approved to be removed, is it that difficult to put it back in place since it was already there?
Well, we'll have to put it back, we'd have to have a hearing, we'd have to go through a process, and we need to kind of create a basis for why we're doing things and what we want to do and what you propose to do. And we're probably going to have a hearing to do that, most likely a public hearing. So we kind of need to vet that and chase that down. The aquifer that we have now was put in place essentially by the state. The town spent $250,000 actually drilling to establish scientifically where the aquifer is. The previous aquifer that used to be on our zoning map that I think Nancy's referring to was around 1973, based on a soils map. It was adopted. I think Dr. DeSanto was a prime mover. That Norm will remember Dr. DeSanto. Dr. DeSanto, who was on the zoning commission and the planning commission, was chair of both, and I think he was also chair of the wetlands for a while as well. He spent a lot of his time volunteering for the community. So these things we all kind of need to review. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but we need to kind of gather ourselves, review. Debbie has suggested a subcommittee. That might be a good starting place to kind of put things together and move forward. And then I can consult, or we can have them come and you can talk to town attorney. Whatever we need to do, we should touch base with the water department as well and see if there's any responsibility there and if they would support something, because it would be helpful in my opinion. But certainly up to this board, whatever you want to do to move forward.
I have another question, Nancy. In your research, can you answer why the area was, I'll say, deflated? Why it was shrunk? And do you know when?
I believe it was in the 90s.
When the state mandated that we adopt the new aquifer regulations in an agency and the boundaries, there was a process. It was about a 2-year process, led primarily by the water department for some time. The zoning board was ultimately designated as an aquifer protection agency, and it wears 2 hats, and it is not the zoning board when it acts as the aquifer board. It's just a completely different board. We just happen to be the same folks, and I as staff. The state required us to map out. We had mapping level A and B, as I recall, and that was established by testing through the water department, and ultimately maps developed and forwarded to the state, and they approved mapping level A and B, and ultimately gave us the designation of our aquifer and said, here's your aquifer, East Lyme.
I know,
This
but
is
why
what
did
it
they
is.
change it? What happened that
I
was
think one of the
big?
catalysts was that the state DEP started to recognize statewide we needed to start protecting our groundwater. Many towns, as East Lyme gets its drinking water from groundwater. So I think there was a recognition that something had to be done in this, and so DEP ultimately put together this aquifer protection program, and it had a lot of growing pains during that process. The old aquifer was deleted because it was based on soils. The new aquifer was adopted because it was based on drilling and actually establishing where the aquifer was. And so that's why we have the current aquifer that we have, and the other was essentially deleted.
So will they have to drill again if we change it?
All that is unknown. I'll have to talk to DEP. I had talked to them about 1.5 years ago, but I would want to refresh. And,
What was the cost last time when they drilled?
it was $250,000.
Whoa.
I'm
But
just
the land
curious.
hasn't changed, they still have to have the data.
Or it could be
So
worse.
they don't have to
But,
re-drill.
but,
Yeah.
but
So-
didn't they reduce it for Costco?
Where would it go?
No, that's a misnomer.
Oh, okay.
That did not happen. But I know that went around. So I think at this point, we need to do a little homework to ensure we understand what it is this group is going to put forward and ensure we're on firm legal ground as well, so we won't put the town in jeopardy. And if we need to add some partners, that we do, and if we don't. But I think the first thing to do is vet it. I can talk to the state. I have a contact in the aquifer department, and we can move that forward. In the interim, if we need legal counsel, we have access to that. Well, he'll be here in a little while on another matter. We can ask him to come back if we have questions for him, or maybe we put together a list of questions and we send them out to him. But all that can be done and worked on.
But in the meantime, we can still form a subcommittee.
It's up to this board. If you choose to do that, that's fine.
Is the rest of the commission agreeable to a subcommittee?
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that
Norm, could you speak into your microphone, please? Thank you. I couldn't hear you.
I wanted to add that it was under Mark Salerno's reign here that we wanted to go back to the old mapping, and an attorney told us that we would be subject to a lawsuit if we denied an application because of it's in the old mapping. So we need to speak to the town attorney.
You know, we need to kind of refresh and get back up to speed, and certainly we can do that.
Yeah, it sounds like quite a process.
It is.
It's a very
I'm glad to
worthwhile,
get the ball rolling. I think that's a great idea. A subcommittee probably
Who
would be.
who would like to be on Ms. Kalal's subcommittee?
I'll do it if nobody else.
Anybody else? Any?
That end of the table seems to be involved more.
Okay.
You know, that's me and Nancy's forte.
Table going.
So there's two. Are there more? Anybody else?
I can't take that on at this time. I can't at this time.
Okay, well, we have our subcommittee. We have Ms. Jet Harris and Ms. Kalal, the chairman of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we
Oh, wait,
want
we gotta take a vote.
Do we want a formal vote?
Yeah, we have to.
Somebody make a motion.
I make a motion that we form a subcommittee and then to do fact-finding to see if we should or if we can legally talk about our aquifer boundaries and the possibility of putting them back where they used to be.
I second that.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? It passed 600. Well,
Yay.
you've got your work cut out.
Okay, so now,
We
We
have
need-
another
we-
half hour. Keep going.
we need a deadline, because if we don't have a deadline, things just sort of,
I think the subcommittee should set up its own
Yeah.
deadline.
I think
Well, the
after, we have
problem
to
is
do
that-
some talking with attorneys and such
Yeah.
first, don't we?
well, I was thinking 3 months, but actually, the agency only has to meet twice a year, and I, quite frankly, am not interested in waiting until 6 months from now.
Well, after you talk to the town attorney and other people, maybe you'd have a suggestion of the next meeting.
I think, Nancy, at our next meeting, we'll be able to bring something to the commission, and then we can, at that point, ask for, a formal, something from town attorney, and then we can go from
Yeah,
there.
we can look for deadlines and commitments as we understand the process, and then we can move forward.
And we can always have another meeting whenever we get a bunch of
When you're
information.
ready, yeah.
Okay, so we're not held down to just 2 meetings a year. I remember it used to only be 1 a year, so now now we're up to 2, so that's good. So when we get all of our information, we'll certainly ask for another meeting.
Okay,
Nancy, you okay with that?
I am okay with that. Now, there's people out in TV land or Streamland or wherever they are. If anybody has any questions, comments, feel free to call me at home, 860-437-7828.
You can't do that, I'm sorry.
I
It's already
can't.
done.
Well, she
I know,
Or look at Facebook.
no, you can't do that.
Well,
Why?
Because we're going to be taking a vote on it, and if we do get something, we have a public hearing,
Yeah, or you don't want to take any...
they can go to
evidence outside
Bill,
of-
they can give
Okay.
information to Bill.
Talk to
Mulholland.
Mr. Mulholland.
Yeah, call the office.
Yeah.
860-6914-114.
What's Jess's number? What's...
What?
I'm
Please
in
do
trouble.
not call Nancy Colal at home. All information needs to be vetted through Mr. Mulholland, zoning official.
Yeah, and no blocking anybody, Nancy.
I don't know how. I
Okay.
admit, technology is not my thing, and I have an answering machine which may or may not work.
got it. So is there anything else
You have
you'd
a
like to
landline?
talk about tonight?
Oh, yes, actually. I want to talk about sewers
Okay.
and septic systems. I am sorry, but it's a big deal. The septic systems that have been unserviced for 20 or 30 years since the houses were built along the Latimer Brook, that then ooze, exudate into the brook, which then oozes into the Nyack River, which then oozes into the Sound. And if anybody has interest in working on that project,
Is that even in our purview?
No.
No, it's a
No.
purview of Ledge Light. Health
You'll
District.
have to talk to Danielle and Legislate.
okay?
But Nancy, you can tell us how many residents currently, roughly about, get water from East Lyme that are not, that don't have wells?
Say that again.
How many residents rely on water from the town? About?
Say 7,000.
Is it like,
7,000 rely on water from London.
no, our drinking water, that's where it comes from. So How many people, so what I wanted to know is if you knew the amount of residents who get public drinking water from East Lyme.
Oh, approximately 13,000.
Okay, and the rest of them have wells, correct?
No, 7,000 get water from New London, 13,000 have wells and/or other methods of water extraction.
Okay, thank you. I think the main goal of the aquifer protection that we're trying to do is we're trying to stay a step ahead of any potential danger that would impact East Lyme's water, all water, not just in drinking water, but we're talking the water in the rivers, the water everywhere. And I think it's a good thing. You know, it'll be challenging, but I think it's a good thing, and I think it's really important that we do this because, like Nancy said, you know, once the water goes bad, there is no fixing it. And once our resources are gone, they're gone. And right now, the town has invested $750,000 in a system that's supposed to take the plastic out of the water and stuff, which is a good thing because it's causing a lot of problems, and we know that. So I think that this commission is, I'm very grateful that it is has a lot of ideas, and we ask the questions, and we do the homework, and there's hours and hours of research involved, and it's all because we take it very seriously, and I think we do a great job.
So the day paper ran an article about Killingly, not wanting Killingly being out of water, with women with their signs, keep our wells safe, protect our aquifers, water is life, and they are in trouble because they have no water. So
What's the date of that article?
this was June 3rd of 2026.
Thank you.
So it can happen to us. So we will keep
Well,
working on it.
It's definitely worth looking into, so we'll move ahead. If there's nothing else on the aquifer agenda, we will break until the zoning meeting.
We going to adjourn this meeting?
If we have a motion?
I make a
Make a motion, we adjourn the Aquifer meeting.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Adjourned.